Okay. Good morning, everyone. Catherine, we're good to go. Thank you. I'd like to welcome you all to the County of Newell Municipal Planning Commission meeting for August the 7th, 2025. Welcome to our guests. We'll do a round of introductions and we'll start over with Lynette this morning. Shake things up a bit.
Good morning, I'm Lynette Kopp, the Division 3 Councillor, which is Patricia Millicent area.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Dan Short from Division 1, Rolling Hills.
Good morning for all those not from Tilly, Adina Scandrup, Division 2, Tilly, Hamlet and area.
Good morning, Holly Johnson, Division 4, which is the areas of Scandia, Rainier and Bow City.
Welcome, Matt Fensky, CAO.
Lights, good morning. Welcome, Arno Dirksen from Division 9, the GEM area.
And I'm Kelly Chrisman. I am Division 6, the Bizano, outside Bizano area, and I'll chair the MPC meeting this morning.
Hi, welcome everyone. My name's Greg Screever. I'm from Division 5, Lake New Resort and Castles area.
Good morning, welcome. I'm Ellen Unra and I represent the countryside around the village of Rosemary.
Good morning, Amanda Philpott, Division 8 around Dutchess.
Good morning, Neil Johnson, Division 10 around the city.
And staff, Maria.
Hello, my name is Maria Jackson. I'm the Supervisor of Planning and Development.
Good morning, Shanna Lee, Development Officer.
Good morning, Emma Sinclair, Planning and Development Administrative Assistant.
Good morning, Catherine Siakla, Communications Officer.
And I'd like you all to introduce yourselves into the microphone, if you would, please.
Good morning, Ramon Tapia from the Tilly Car Wash.
Good morning, I'm Viviana and I'm the wife of the Tilly Car Wash owner.
I'm Delaney Douglas and I'm with them.
I'm Corinne Tateson and I'm from Tilly.
And I'm Max Tateson and I'm here in case they rev things up too much to help them get out of the building.
Dave Stalber, Rolling Hills.
Jennifer Coombs from Tilly.
Jeremy Coombs from Tilly.
Clayton Johnson, here to support my daughter.
Great. Well, thank you. And welcome to the Planning Commission meeting. I'll call this meeting to order if I haven't done that already. We're all here, so no reason for excused from our meeting. The minutes are in our package. How do you wish to handle them? Ellen? Ellen moves to approve the minutes as circulated. All in favor of Ellen's motion? That is carried. Are there any post-agenda items? Nothing from staff? Anything from MPC members? Seeing none, adoption of the agenda is next. Adina moves to accept the agenda as circulated. All in favor of Adina's motion? That is carried. Welcome, Sandra, from the Bulletin.
Thank you.
Item 7 on our agenda, development permits. Shanna Lee.
Thank you. Development permit 2025052 is for the operation of a self-storage business including 11 shipping containers, 1 existing storage building. The parcel has an existing car wash which is legal non-conforming. It is in operation and will remain, and it's in the hamlet of Tilly. The car wash building and business has been in operation since approximately 1978. The storage building was installed in approximately 1990. Since both of these buildings and businesses were developed prior to the dissolution of the former village of Tilly, they're considered legal non-conforming. The car wash operates 24 hours a day. The self-storage will also be 24-hour a day access for their customers. The shipping containers are used for self-storage. The customers will access the parcel from the street on the south side of the parcel. They're requesting a variance, the rear yard variance, which there is an error in my report. I apologize for that. Should be 3 meters, and a side yard variance of 1.5 meters. There was circulations to adjacent landowners and administration, and they both had similar issues. The letter with concerns with back alley access and lighting, and administration had the same concerns. So when I discussed this with the landowner, he changed his site plan, removed one of the shipping containers, organized them so that all of the access would be from the street and from the inside of the parcel, and none of the alleys will be used for the customer's access. The lighting is going to be on the back of the car wash building, and we do have regulations in our land use bylaw that state that the light needs to be pointing down, so the light shouldn't be an issue. The traffic increase was also mentioned by the adjacent landowners, which is an expectation for a business parcel. Mr. and Mrs. Tapia Diaz are here to respond to questions.
Yes, welcome. Thank you, Shannalee. MPC, do we have questions? Holly?
Just 2 questions to clarify for me. So is it legal non-conforming only because the existing storage building is too close, or is there something else? And secondly, is this more of I believe a neighbor would be a residential, but is the area more residential or is it more industrial?
Shannalee.
So the immediately across the alley are residential parcels, and the parcel second one in across the alley is the location where the adjacent landowner concern was. The parcels in the front are business. And the legal non-conforming is because it was, because of the age of it, there wasn't a land use bylaw back in that time for them to follow. There was not the rules, and so we consider it legal non-conforming.
Thank you, Shannalee. Greg, and then Neil.
So just a question, and I think we had covered this before with respect to the back alley. I know the concerns were that the back alley would be damaged and there would be more traffic. So just to reiterate, the access for your customers will be from the street, and should be, other than probably installing the containers, and once they're there, I imagine. If that's the case, would there really be any more traffic in that alley now that once the containers are already there?
Open? Oh, yeah. No, that's the modification we made. Is the access is going to be through the south side on my own parcel there, and then I got all paved all the way up to there. During the winter season, that access, it is an outside car wash. It's not in use because it's outside. So that will be the access year round through there, and then it should be no or minimum. I'm going to say minimum traffic in the back alley. So.
Neil.
Yeah, just one question that came up about containers before. Will they all be painted the same color or mix and match?
I can answer that. Yes, they will be painted the same color. And the same color is going to match the actual building, which is being resided as we speak. So.
Lynette?
So there was concerns brought up about drainage and things like that into the back alley. Do you see any issues with that once you have containers sitting there?
The drainage will be the original runoff of the water as it is right now. We won't change anything like that, and then will be no water other than the drainage is only going to be rainwater or snow.
Go ahead. Okay, my question is around the angle of the containers, and maybe it's just the photo that we're looking at. It looks like it's not square to the lot. And what is, can somebody put some light on that? What's the thinking there? Shanley?
It is square to the lot. Oh. It's just my mapping that my wiggly hand, but yeah.
Well, I wasn't expecting that.
Sorry about that.
So, all right, thank you. And we don't have municipal services letter in our package. Did they have any other concerns other than what you mentioned, Shanley?
They no, and it was an email, and I talked to Terry about it, and he was, when we got the new revised site plan, they were confident that they would be fine the way it is with the revised site plan.
And then my final question is this lot paved? Is it a surface lot?
No, as of right now, it's not. There is a section right behind the car wash, which is partly paved. The rest of it is soil, and it'll be all leveled up, and then no paved, but it's gonna be some sort of gravel put on for easy access.
Holly, you had a question?
I was just wondering if you've talked to the adjacent landowner who wrote the letter. Have you addressed their concerns about parking in their driveway and more traffic?
I haven't spoken to him because we addressed that issue after with this new revised mapping. It won't be no problem with his access, and it won't be no problem with the back alley access. So everything. The only concern was at the beginning, it was that some of the containment or containers or storage container will be, the entry door will be facing the alley, but we modified that one, and all of them, they're facing the property now. So there is nothing going on in the back.
And Shanley, can you tell me what the zoning is? Is it commercial on this property?
Yeah. It's business hamlet.
Business hamlet, okay. It is quite industrial. Like, I feel like 11 shipping containers is very industrial looking. I'm just throwing that out there. Or no?
Ready for a motion? Sure. I would recommend that we, or I move that we approve as per option 1, the recommendation of staff that we move ahead with this. As recommended, yes. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Comments? Lynette?
Just one more question. You're going to paint all the sea cans the same color. Are you going to paint your ATCO trailer too then?
I can answer to that. Originally on the document it says it's going to be paint beige. That was the original suggestion. But since the outside of the car wash is getting residing in a charcoal color, the ATCO trailer is going to be resided in a charcoal color as well, and all the containers will match the same color, except for the document says beige, but it's going to be charcoal. That's the only difference it's going to be in there, if that's okay with everybody. But everything will match same color.
I have one more question that just came to mind, Shanley. One more question, Shanley, about the process in Business Hamlet in this situation. Were there any mail-outs to residential or to the neighborhood? Yes. Thank you. Okay. All right, we have a motion to approve. Neil has a question?
Not a question, just a comment, being that Tilly is a growth hamlet. This stimulates a little bit more business. I think it's great.
Okay. Going to call the question. All in favor of Arno's motion, please indicate. And that is carried unanimously. Thank you so much for coming in and answering our questions.
Thank you very much, everybody.
And good luck with your new business.
Thank you.
7.2, Shanley.
Thank you. Development permit 2025056 is for the construction of an accessory building to be used as a riding arena, barn, and storage. The applicant obtained a development permit for the proposed structure in February 2025. The approval was a permitted use. However, following the approval, the applicant altered the use of the building to include a riding arena, which is a discretionary use and must be approved by the Municipal Planning Commission. Therefore, he came back in and submitted another development permit. The riding arena is for private use only. The applicant is not requesting any variances to the setback. There was no issues or concerns from adjacent landowners, and there was no issues or concerns from administration, and we're recommending approval with conditions, and Mr. Tateson is here to respond to questions.
And Mrs. Tateson as well. Oh. Welcome. Thanks for coming in. Do we have questions on the process, on the riding arena? Holly?
So when do you plan to construct the arena?
I know it's on. Oh, okay. The shell of the building is actually constructed. They completed it in March of this year, but it does not have a dirt floor yet, nor does it have electrical. So whenever we have an electrician available to do it and sand when it stops raining to get into the building, then it will be completed. And eventually we'd like to put a finished barn in the front to store stalls and saddle and stuff like that. So completion for official use, hopefully before the snow flies.
So can I follow that question up before Holly does? What brought you in today?
Me?
I'm like the process. The building is already up, and we're approving.
We are approving?
Well, I'm just asking. It feels like we're putting the cart before the horse. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. And so I actually brought a letter from our builder, if you want me to read it to clear things up a little bit. Sure. So it says, to whom it may concern, on behalf of the Tateson family and Three Triangle Land and Livestock, I'm writing to address the recent construction of their new post frame building completed March 2025. Remuda Building Ltd. served as a primary contractor responsible for the design, supply, and construction of a multi-purpose exterior structure for their farm building. As understood, our collaboration with clients, this structure is designed solely for private use to support their ongoing land and livestock activities on their farm property. We ensure that the building was designed and built in accordance with the county's auxiliary farm building permit requirements, explicitly for farm use, with no intention of public or commercial operation. We believe that given the intended use, this building will significantly enhance functionality and efficiency of the Tateson farm operations. Furthermore, it will increase the value of their property and enable better utilization of the west side of the farm. The covered storage space will provide valuable storage for farm vehicles, farm equipment, snow clearing gear, and yard tools and animals to come. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Please do not hesitate to contact. And I can leave this letter here if possible. So we built it as a calving barn, future use. I might want to like foal mares out there. It snows a lot, and then eventually ride in it would be the idea. So I need lights in it eventually, and sand and concrete, so that's why it's not completed, as I can't. There's nothing in it right now because it's dark in there because there's no windows, if you know what I mean. So we're here to get electrical and proceed so I can use it.
Okay, so the long answer turned short is you need more permits, so that's what brought you in.
Yeah.
Glad you're here. Max, you want to, we just need you to use the microphone because we have viewers online. So if Catherine will get you the mic.
We had a building permit, and now with the new, it's, we're here for the development permit.
Okay.
And I want my $200 back.
Oh. All right. Any other questions on the process, on the application or a motion? Go ahead, Adina.
Well, I'm just going to play devil's advocate because you know how rumors are in the hamlet. So only for personal use, there will not be any riding lessons at some point for other people in the area?
Oh, you shut yourself off there. There you go.
Not really, because I don't like people.
Well.
So in official answer, no, because of insurance and stuff like that. And I would like the ground the way I want it because I'm a barrel racer, so it has to be exactly perfect.
Okay. She sounds like a barrel racer too. Neil.
Yeah, I'll make that motion to approve.
Thank you. As recommended?
As recommended,
with
yeah.
Conditions. All right, we have a motion. Any further questions? All in favor of Neil's motion? That is carried. And thank you so much for your added information and for taking the time to come in. Good luck with your project. 7.3.
Thank you. Development permit 2025059 is for the installation of a manufactured home with a variance to the front and the rear setback. The previous manufactured home was destroyed by fire and will be completely removed from the parcel prior to any further development. The applicant is requesting a variance to the front and rear setback specifically because the proposed home size is the new standard size for manufactured home, and it has been approved by the insurance company. So the request is 1.5 meter variance from the front and 0.7 meter variance from the rear. There was no response from adjacent landowners. In circulations with administration, there was concern with parking because of it being a cul-de-sac and being a little bit closer in the front. However, in our land use bylaw, it states that a dwelling should have 2 parking spots and the measurement. And when I did the measurements, there should be enough room for 2 parking spots in the front with the new length of the building. In addition, there is a spot in the back. As they're relocating their shed to the other end of the parcel. And we're recommending approval with conditions, and Mrs. Coombs is here to answer questions.
Welcome, Mrs. Coombs. All right, any questions on this project? Sounds like a good one. You'll be glad to be in it once you get there, right? Holly has a question.
Good morning. Do you have any concerns with enough room for parking your vehicles with this with your new house?
No, I don't. It's the front of it will be the exact same as it is right now. It's just longer, so we're just leaving it the same place in the front, and then it just goes into the yard a little bit more, but no concerns.
Adina?
So I know there's been some drainage issues out back. Is it something you're going to be addressing? Is it going to interfere? You're moving that building that the water was rolling right into. Is that right?
Yeah, the house is being put on piles this time, so our house is not going to shift and sink as bad as it did with all the drainage issues from the hall.
Okay. Lynette?
I'd be ready to make a motion.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ellen. My bad.
Just from the photo, is there a parking spot in the back alley as well? I thought so, yeah.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor of Lynette's motion? That is carried. Thank you, and good luck. Hope you're in it before winter.
We will. Our insurance company and building company are ready to living in a camper.
No. It's fun for the first 2 days. Right. All right. 8.1, Maria.
Thank you. This application is to subdivide an approximate 7.5 acre parcel from the southeast of 1914 for residential purposes. The proposed subdivision is in Division 10, 7 kilometers northeast of the city of Brooks. The applicant would like to separate the farmstead from the farmland. Access to the proposed and the remnant parcel will be from Range Road 14-0, which is the One Tree Road. There are existing approaches to both parcels. The proposed parcel will include 2 dwellings, 2 Quonsets, a detached garage, a barn, and several outbuildings. These developments meet the setbacks of the land use bylaw. The dwellings are serviced by regional water and individual septic fields, which are all located within the proposed property lines. There are noted wetlands present on the parcel, however, they're not located within the developed area. There are also 2 abandoned wells on the quarter, and again, they're not located within the proposed subdivision. And the developer is responsible to ensure that the proper setbacks remain during any further development. So it was circulated to adjacent landowners and required referrals. The AER supplied a map with a list of sour wells and have indicated the required setbacks for those wells, so the developer will be aware of those should any further development happen. Alberta Health Services also indicated that that they need to ensure that there's a legal source of potable drinking water, and that the private sewage disposal systems be completely contained on the property. And then they've also indicated the 2 abandoned wells. Alberta Transportation had no objections, and since submitting this RFD, we actually received a reply from CNRL. CNRL has a well site that is, I can show you here, it's actually intersected by the proposed property line. So that proposed property line essentially runs through a well site. So well sites leases are not something that we see. We don't have access to all the well sites within the county, which is the reason for these required referrals. They get sent to everyone who's on title. So CNR responded and said, oh, we don't really love the idea of having 2 landowners on one lease, essentially splitting the north part of the lease and the south part of the lease. So the applicant spoke to CNRL, and they have both agreed to move that property line up just a little bit. So from this parcel to just below where these trees are. So that would ensure that the entire well site boundary is then included with the farmland and it's not split by the property line. So they worked together well and came up with a solution that I think is very good. So it is recommended that this subdivision be approved with conditions that property taxes be paid, that the applicant supplies any easements, right-of-ways as required, that they enter into a development agreement with the county if required. I'm also going to add the condition, which is not listed here, that the south boundary of the proposed subdivision be moved north of the 8 of 24 well site lease boundary. Reserve is not applicable as this is the first parcel out of the quarter section. Thanks.
Thanks, Maria. Can you tell me what's with the wave? You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I was ready for those non-square questions. There is a road that follows. So that road provides access to the remnant parcel. So they followed that road boundary.
Is it their road? It's not a county road, it's their road. Yikes. Holly.
So on this sketch, it looks like they're keeping that road, but in reality, the division line falls just to the south of that road, and the north portion is still used for agriculture?
Maria?
Yes, that's correct. So the north, that little sliver, I guess, does have some granaries and some development that's utilized by the farming operation and not required for the farmstead. So that's the reason for that.
How do you wish to handle this? Dan, please.
Yeah, I'd move that we approve this as recommended with the amendments that were noted.
Okay. Seeing no other hands, all in favor of that motion? (8.3) Maria? Square lines, square
Yeah.
corners.
Phew.
I should say, yes, yes.
Oh, I should turn. This subdivision application is in Division 4, 5 kilometers south of the hamlet of Rainier. They would like to subdivide an approximate 6.93 acres from the northeast of 21616 for agricultural purposes. Access to the proposed subdivision is from Range Road 16-1. Access to the remnant parcel will have to be established. Municipal Services has indicated that that is an option. There are several buildings on the proposed parcel that are used for potato storage and an office building. All buildings meet the setbacks of the land use bylaw. There are noted wetlands present on the farmland, but not on the proposed subdivision, and there are no environmentally or historically significant areas, and there are no abandoned wells. There were no comments raised by adjacent landowners, internal departments, or required referral agencies, and it is recommended that this subdivision be approved with the conditions that all outstanding property taxes be paid, that the applicant supplies copies of utility right-of-ways, easements, or agreements prior to finalization, that they enter into a development agreement with the county if required, and municipal reserve is applicable for this as it is not the first parcel out of the quarter section. So policy POL 010-23 will apply, and it is recommended that money in place of land be required in the amount of $7,287.80, which is 10% of the value of the land indicated in that policy, with the final amount to be determined at the time of finalization. Thanks.
Thanks, Maria. Questions? Lynette, start us off.
On the application, they write sewer services, it says municipal water for the water, but then for sewage disposal system, it says vacuum truck. Is that acceptable for MPC when it's just like an office like that, not being a house? Like, I thought we needed to have like a septic field and so many meters, etc. Can maybe
Maria.
On the sketch that was provided by the applicant, there is a small area that shows the septic tank, and that does meet the requirements of the land use bylaw, or of the, private septic disposal system code. So that is met. A tank is okay. We don't necessarily recommend it when it is residential because the use is significantly greater usually than a business, depending on what the business is. So a holding tank and trucking it out is okay, provided that's okay by MPC.
So further to that, go ahead, Lynette.
So if they were to change the use of this land, we would probably look at all of this a little differently, like if this was going to become residential. Is that usually how that works?
Maria?
So if they would like to develop a house on this parcel, then they would have to ensure that it could maintain a private septic disposal system that would meet the code. A field, let's say, does require specific setbacks, so they would have to maintain all of that, and then it would have to go through the process.
Ellen.
Now, the subdivision is going to be consolidated with the adjacent land, I understand? It says on the application?
It's being separated from the mother piece. right?
It's being separated, but then it says the reason for the request for the subdivision is to consolidate ownership of the land into one title.
Maria?
So currently there's 2 owners on that parcel. And I believe the intention of that note is that they're separating the uses. So there's the barn and the holding facilities and the farmland. So I'm not really sure what the intention is, but it's I guess a bit of succession planning or business decisions that way. But there's no consolidating of any land titles happening. It's all just splitting, so creating a new lot.
Yes. Holly, thank you.
I can explain that. It was bought by One River Ventures from the potato company, but the farmland portion is only owned by one half of that. They bought the whole thing together to expedite the process. They're just cleaning things up. So the owner of the farmland is one family and the owner of the potato storage is 2. So that's how that works.
Any other questions? Holly?
I'll motion option 1.
Okay. Any other questions? Final call. All in favor of Holly's motion? That is carried. We had no other business or post agenda. Is there a reason for in-camera conversation? Seeing no hands. There are no information items on the agenda, so I'll adjourn this meeting. And thank everybody for coming.
Okay, I'll suggest that we take a few minutes and convene our council meeting at 1:15. Let's call this meeting to order. What are we waiting for? We have minutes of the July 24th council meeting that have been circulated. Are there any errors or omissions, or a motion to approve as circulated? Amanda, please.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Any post-agenda items to add to the agenda today? Nope. Seeing none, a motion to approve the agenda as circulated. Kelly, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Question period or notices of motion? Seeing none in the electronic media, I'll just make one comment. I happened to be on the new pathway yesterday with some German tourists, and while we toured the pathway, we met 2 additional cyclists from Florida. So yesterday was International Day on the pathway. That's just an aside, but interesting to see the pathway starting to get used, and it looks good, although it is not officially open yet, I guess. So, good to add on. Yeah. So that is an aside, but I think it's good news to see that infrastructure being used. Let's. I'll note that we have a public hearing at 11:30, so I'm going to suggest that we move to item number 11 to begin with, which is, administrative business. 11.1. Matt, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm happy to introduce this one. Looking for a motion to appoint members to our assessment review board. This is pretty standard. We need the appointments.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments or a motion? Ollie, go ahead, please.
I will motion that we approve the recommendation.
Okay, for a assessment review board clerk. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Similarly, we need a motion to approve the members. Are there any questions or comments or a motion to approve? Recommendation, Dan, please.
Yeah, I'll motion to approve.
Thanks, Dan. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried as well. Thank you. And now a third motion to appoint the chair of the Assessment Review Board. Lynette moves. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Some standard procedure activity. Let's move to item number 11.2, which is a 2025 tax sale by public auction, basically selecting a date for that. Welcome, Shannon.
Sorry, I was not ready.
That's fine.
That one. Okay, public auction. So I'm here to request a motion to set the date, time, and reserve bids for the properties with overdue taxes. These properties have taxes outstanding for 2 or more years. And so I'd like to schedule the public auction for Wednesday, November 19th at 10 a.m. with the reserve bids as attached.
Okay, thank you. Are there any, excuse me, questions or comments? Holly, go ahead, please.
Did any properties go for public auction in the last year, the last 2 years, or are you able to clear all of them?
That's a good question. I believe none went last year, one went the year before. I have reached out to, or tried to reach out to everyone in here. I know one of these properties will for sure go to tax sale. And then the rest, I'm just doing the best I can to try and clear those up.
Okay, thank you. Further questions, or Greg?
Yeah, I'd like to make the motion for option 1.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Ellen?
Where is the location of the auction going to be?
Here in council chambers.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor of the motion, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you.
I covered, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Shannon. Let's move on to item number 11.3, funding request for regional enhancement reserve from the City of Brooks. Lane, welcome.
We've received the request from the City of Brooks. There is still some funds remaining in the Regional Enhancement Reserve allocation that was available for the city. and the application that they have submitted would draw that down to a nil balance. The request is for council to approve their request to allocate those funds for the project that they have submitted.
Okay, thanks, Lane. Are there any questions? Lynette, please.
Is this a fund that we keep putting money into, or is this something that was there and possibly was put in there by grants and things and whatever, and we're just using it up?
Yes, that is the case.
Okay. Kelly, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion, option 1, approve the City of Brooks request as submitted.
For the pool lockers, okay? All in favor of the motion, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Thanks, Lane.
Yeah. But now that accounted.
11.4, terms of reference for our Intermunicipal Affairs Committee. That's been discussed some prior to this. Matt, where are we at with that?
Good morning, Council. I think we're closer on the Intermunicipal Affairs Committee terms of reference and pairing that with the Brooks Newell Region Economic Development Services Agreement, which will be the next item on the agenda. So significant time has been spent. I think we're closer to a final draft. The recommendation today is to endorse the updated terms of reference for the Intermunicipal Affairs Committee to take effect following the 2025 municipal elections, and direct administration to work with the partner municipalities to coordinate the formal adoption. So order of operations is maybe a bit of a dog's breakfast. We've had several conversations in Committee of the Whole. CAOs have got together. We think we've arrived at a place that each council can live with and embrace for working together moving forward. Some of the highlights for the IAC: it would replace your Joint Services Committee. It would replace the end of year get together. Looking at meeting 3 times annually. This would be the vehicle for executing regional council orientations following a municipal election, bringing in potential trainers for pick your favorite item that you want to be trained on, whether that's MPC, council governance. This would be the committee that receives delegations who are looking for a one-stop shop to get all of councils on their hit list. So whether that's STARS, the EID, the Chamber of Commerce, keep going down your list, RPAP, IAC would be the committee for that. You've had a chance to review the terms of reference, and I am available to take questions or suggested edits.
Thanks, Matt, and thanks for your work on that. Dan, you've got a question or comments?
I don't think it's not a big deal, but the voting members, chief elected official, that's great. 1 councillor appointed at the municipality's annual organizational meeting. So what if that person couldn't be there? Could we just make another person the voting member? Is there a need to change that so that it just says 1 councillor chosen by that municipality, or is it really a nothing burger?
Excuse me, Matt, go ahead, please.
Potentially just adding the language or their designate. So if you're absent, you can designate who's going to vote for you at the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Or Holly, go ahead.
I do like the cost sharing on the training. That's, I think, a really good idea. I was just curious, Matt, to in number 2, the quarterly administration coordination on page 3, just understanding how you see that purpose working and why the service organization's coming there as opposed to the whole group. If you can just clarify how you're seeing that.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, so through the chair, I think there will be an opportunity for both. So we've identified as the CAOs, there is a potential benefit in us getting together more formally in a structured manner. as well as inviting some of our peers, whether that's Cole from NRSC, Sean from the Solid Waste Authority, Doug from recycling, and spending a little bit more time together so we're all on the same page and taking an opportunity to work out issues before they get to be too big of issues. When it comes to those partners coming to the IAC, we think a good practice would be at least an annual update from those organizations which were created to serve the municipalities in the region, and a good one-stop shop for them to give their annual updates to. So,
okay, thank you. Greg.
Yeah, I'd like to just congratulate the CAOs for putting this together. Working with the Joint Services Committee, I know that I understand the struggles that we've had. And I think this has actually brought our different communities together, and including the CAOs. And this will actually bring all of the councillors together 3 times more often than what is done now. So I think it's really encouraging, and I like the way the terms of references are, how they've been thoughtfully put together, and I know there's going to be tweaking as we go, but this is a really good starting point, and thank you for doing that.
Thanks, Greg. We're looking for a motion to approve as recommended if the strategy, if preferred strategy. Greg?
Yeah, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments? If not, all in favor of the motion, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Now let's move on to 11.5, which is the Brooks Regional Economic Development Services Agreement, which is related to the previous conversation. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, so as we update the terms of reference and replace Joint Services Committee, one of Joint Services Committee's main responsibilities was providing governance oversight for the Regional Economic Development Initiative, which has grown over time into Brooks Newell Region Economic Development. What the region has accomplished has been loosely governed. We haven't had a specific legal agreement that holds anybody's feet to the fire. And sometimes that works well, and other times it doesn't work as well. So we have in front of you the services agreement. We have our partners willing to put some skin into the game in terms of committing 2% of their local government fiscal framework operating grant towards the effort, and then maintaining the existing $180,000 a year that the county and the city have historically contributed to that effort. We envision the IAC, so all councillors in the region would have an opportunity to set the work plan for economic development following each municipal election, and then again midterm having an update from economic development and really looking to anchor those efforts to the work plan and having that guide the efforts in the region. I'm sure I'm missing stuff. I'm open to suggested edits or questions.
Thanks, Matt. Are there questions or comments? Go ahead, Ellen, please.
So this would increase the contributions from the city and the county, because it's not just a joint $180,000, but it will also now be a percentage of the LGFF, right?
Yes, that's correct. And I should have that number in front of me. It's not huge dollars. I'll pull that up.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Kelly, go ahead.
Just this sentence that says meetings will be held monthly during the regularly scheduled joint services meetings. I'm looking at the old terms of reference. That's what I'm doing. My bad. All right. Service, no.
Thanks, Kelly. Holly?
Just Appendix A, our values, where it says the Brooks Newell region is founded on values guided by our history of blue-collar work and small-town life. The County of Newell's history involves agriculture, so I would think that should be included in the values.
Okay, thank you. We can do that. Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, so that Appendix A is coming from the current strategic plan. That is a good suggested edit, and I'll share that with my CAO peers. I don't think there would be any opposition to that.
Okay, thanks, Neil.
I think it's a good idea, but as far as $180,000 a year from the city and the county goes, we have to come up with some way of being able to measure what that 180 is actually done. Like over our term, it's 180 by 4, so $700,000. I'm not totally sure that we've got anything to show for that 180,000 just from our side, let alone with the towns. So an important part is to come up with a way of following up and making sure that we get value for all that money. My comments. I think I like the idea. I like both the ideas, but.
Okay, thanks, Neil. Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, so accountability for results is a key piece of this, which is the philosophy on having all councillors participate in that IAC, setting the work plan and setting those key measures. So what does success look like to you? Staff cannot guess at what that looks like. You have to be explicit with it. And that would be the opportunity for setting those key measures of what you expect to see coming out of the economic development engine over the next 4 years. I would suggest the work plan that was created in 2021, 2022, a lot of those items have been accomplished on that work plan. So that needs to be one of the final reports coming back to joint services that gives you that clarity on where that $180,000 was working year after year. But there has been a lot accomplished.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Appreciate that. Any other questions or comments? Greg.
Yeah, I don't know if this is going to be a problem, but maybe in the future. I mean, we have to look at 10 years down the future, in the future. And, you know, with respect to item number 7, the city shall be responsible for the recruitment, supervision, performance management, and compensation for the personnel. I'm just wondering if that is pretty strict, like as far as the city's responsibility of doing that. I would like for us to be able to have our staff involved with recruitment and supervision and performance. I like for us to have some kind of responsibility when it comes to that, rather than it just being the city alone. I know right now it is the city's responsibility, I believe. So I'm just wondering if we could have a little bit more say when it comes to that. What's your comments on that?
Matt, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so I take the point. I think number 7's really just looking to assign administrative responsibility. So the city is responsible for the annual performance evaluation. I fully expect all the feedback that the CAOs provide our counterpart at the city on a quarterly basis will factor into that, but this is really the mechanics of who's responsible for the HR. The avenue is always open for providing feedback. IAC will also be receiving the updates on progress made on the work plan, which the IAC has set. So I think we do have and have given significant thought to the accountability mechanisms and the feedback coming back appropriately throughout.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Good. Kelly.
We heard a request for administrative costs to the city. Has that been put to rest, or are we dealing with
The agreement is all that is going to be included. So if the city wants to have a conversation on additional costs that are legitimate to economic development, we can have that as part of the budget cycle, but there isn't anything baked in this agreement that provides anything more than what has already been approved in the 2025 budget, which does not include those administrative costs.
Okay, Holly?
Two things. One, to follow Kelly's point, the county is picking up the cost of the IAC committee. So I'm thinking that was the pair between the two. Yeah, that was how you balanced it. And secondly, just under the terms of reference, will it still be the county be appointing 3 people to the Economic Development Committee? Is that still the design, or how does that work?
Matt, please.
Yeah, through the chair, the IAC committee is now the committee charged with governance and oversight.
Go ahead, Holly.
But there will be no people assigned to a committee specifically with the economic development. Will only come to the IAC once every 3 times a year. That's the only involvement we're going to have with that.
Okay, yeah, Matt?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Okay, good. Yeah. Any further questions or contemplating the impact or the potential outcome? Lynette?
This is still all going to go through all the other municipalities to see what they have to say. And so this is just throw this out and see what everybody else thinks. So I'd be ready to make the motion to do that.
Okay, thank you, Lynette. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. That takes us to item number 11.6, but I see Cole is here this morning for an 11:45. Are you prepared to go 5 minutes early? And we'll take your report at this point. Cole. Thanks for coming in, Cole, and welcome.
Thank you very much, Reeve and councillors. I will start off by giving an update on the Lake Newell Resort lift station upgrades. As far as Newell Regional Services is concerned, we are kind of at the end, and we've checked off all the boxes for what we were been tasked to kind of look over and do for the county. So I just kind of did a quick little bit of a spreadsheet just to kind of look at what's been done and what still is outstanding as far as what needs to be done for that project. It's kind of gone on for a couple years now, but we've made really good progress. And so the most important things was the safety aspects of it. So some internal grading and hatches inside the lift station, as well as the ladders and the hatches on the outside. Those were all completed as safety upgrades and part of the mechanical upgrades. So those are all done. We've completely replaced all the piping inside the lift station with stainless steel. And having put eyes on the old piping that was taken out of there, and it was overdue, and it's a good thing that it's all been done. But on June 18th, it was all installed and is working flawlessly since then. So it's definitely a big milestone, and it turned out really, really nice. Should be good to go for at least another 25 years, I would imagine. So it looks really good. So that's been completed, and looking at the cost for that MPE's initial assessment, what they determined that would needed to be done for as far as upgrades, and some of their estimated pricing put along with that. That piping replacement they had estimated at 150,000, came in well below that at about 20. So it's the initial project costs will be significantly less than what we first imagined. That being said, The only thing that's outstanding is the electrical upgrades that MP and the county are going to go ahead with that on their own. And so there's, MP had put about $140,000 price tag on those. So we've got some room for some overages if that should happen, because that's a couple years old, that pricing that MP gave us. So
Great, okay.
yeah, so everything's looking really good. Like I said, we've completed all the stuff that needs to be done in the short-term action plan. And the only thing that's kind of left is, for the future, is remediation of the concrete walls inside. It looks to be in pretty good shape, so I don't think that's imminent. It's something that we might look at in the next 5 years or so. But everything else, we've taken care of all the safety concerns, all the piping internals, all the valves, all the check valves. Council approved a third backup pump for that, a brand new one that was purchased. The other two have been refurbished, so everything's looking good as far as mechanical infrastructure in that facility.
Excellent, thanks, Cole. Go ahead.
Some other minor things, part of our maintenance program is we've repainted all the fire hydrants in Tilly and Lake Newell Resort. Makes them easy to spot for first responders, and it just is better to do that every once in a while, so they work appropriately. Lambourne Environmental has desludged the lagoons out at Tilly as part of that project. So there's the geotube membrane bladders that are out there right now that are dewatering the sludge. So our staff is making sure that it's being pumped out, the water that comes out of those tubes. So as time goes on, they'll dewater, and then when they've dried significantly, we can transport the remains out to the landfill. So that's going to be a little bit of a process doing that. And another project that we had is there was a leak in Rolling Hills again. So we had a valve that needed some bolts replaced in it, and also a fuse joint, about 3 days apart in the same area. So we taken care of that. That was on July 25th. We had to isolate approximately 10 homes to do that work, but all bacteriological samples came back as they should, and they were back and up and running within a half a day. So that was all taken care of. The only other thing that wasn't in my report that I wouldn't mind mentioning is the LNR paving and water infrastructure project that's currently ongoing right now. As a resident out there, I'd like to say that it's definitely going as smooth as it possibly can, as far as from a homeowner's perspective in living in one of those courts. They've been really good as far as the contractors in giving us transportation and giving us notification, and that's both on the contractor's end and as on the county's end as well. Jeff and his staff have been really good, as well as Greg has been really good in letting homeowners know when certain situations arise, and I've had no issues whatsoever. It's part of the construction process, and I think it's going as well as it can be.
Great to hear. Thanks, Cole. Greg.
Thanks, Cole. The boil water advisory that we had this last weekend, was that due to, I don't know if that's part of your report or not, but I'm just wondering if you know very much about it, and was it just some groundwater that seeped into the line? What happened there?
So anytime that happens, they do a risk analysis on it, matrix, basically, and we have to adhere to two different regulatory bodies. Alberta Environment, but AHS has the authority to dictate certain things. So this was the boil water advisory was put on by AHS in the Public Health Inspector's office, and all she's going is there's a potential, because the whole entire community was shut down, for infiltration. Anytime pressure in the system drops below, I believe it's like 20 pounds, give or take a pound, then that causes a risk for infiltration. By no means was that assured to happen, but she's just going, if that could happen, let's do a boil water advisory, take some bacteriological samples, and if they come back like favorably, then we can lift it and there is no harm, no foul. But she's just going above and beyond of just erring on the side of caution. So there was nothing that wrong that happened. It's part of risk assessment.
Okay, great. Thanks, Kelly.
So just an update, has the boil water been removed?
Yes, we got the emails and confirmation on Sunday.
So I saw lots of emails, or not emails, lots of public postings about boil water. I haven't seen that it's been removed yet, so maybe we can do something to help that from the inside here. I had another question about the hydrants. In our hamlets, whose responsibility is it to exercise those hydrants?
That's ours. That's part of our, if you recall in some of my updates in the past, every fall and every spring we do flushing, and it's flushed out of those hydrants, so that at the same time we all check threads, we check gaskets, we check operation and everything like that, just to make sure the maintenance of the actual hydrants themselves is working. Plus the flushing program is to flush out the lines and make sure there's no sediment buildup or anything like that as well. So there's multiple outcomes from that project, and part of it too is to make sure that they're all painted so they don't corrode and rust and stuff like that too. So it's all part of a maintenance program.
Good, thanks, Greg.
Yeah, just an answer to Kelly's question about communication. Emails were sent out to every person at the resort, and that were affected through each community association, plus the general Facebook messaging, and also the internal community Facebook page was also, they were notified. So you'd have to be almost under a rock to not know that it came off or on. So communication was actually quite good.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Any other questions? Oh, Holly, go ahead.
Hi, how long will it take it to de-water before you have to take it to the landfill?
The longer we wait, the less it'll weigh and the cheaper it'll be to transport. So as long as we possibly can. I think Mark might have a better answer as if you want a tighter timeline than that, or a timeline at all.
Like a week, a month, a year?
I don't know off the top of my head exactly. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none. Thanks for coming in today, Cole, and for your update.
You're welcome. Thanks for the opportunity.
Morning, Mark. Let's move on to item 12.2, the Director of Municipal Services report. Mark.
Good morning. You've got the summary of everything going on for the past month, so nothing too thrilling in municipal enforcement. We've recruited and onboarded our new officer. We're waiting for the appointment through the, oh boy, it's a new title of the agency anyway, to get that out of the province, but we had to get some recertifications done before we could fill the appointment application form, so that's in. Now it's just a waiting game to get the appointment so that we can go to work as a community peace officer. Additionally, fleet services, we've been receiving equipment that's been on order. We still have a flat deck trailer with tilt that we're considering. I believe that got ordered just the other day from time of preparation of the report. Grader operators, I don't know what to tell you. If it isn't dust and washboard, it's rain and mud. So they're working their magic as best they can. We know that people have concerns. If, the rain is welcome, but if the tap would ever shut off and just kind of do a balancing act where we get the right amount of moisture, our roads would be great, but that's not how this year is unfolding for us. And the forecast, you can tell me what's going on, great, because it looks like rain, and more rain, but it was supposed to be rain here for the past couple of days, and we didn't get that either, really. So it's what it is. They're doing their best. Some customer service requests are being received, but really I think the general public is pretty understanding of what we've been getting and just tending to business and choosing roads is best fit for those that get beat up versus those are less traveled. Truck drivers, you know, with those rains, we're finding that some roads were on the cusp of next year's graveling program and whatnot. So if we have to tend to them a year early, that's what we're trying to do, but we're not trying to have a knee-jerk reaction where we gravel 400 kilometers of road this year and only do 100 next year. We want to try to be strategic in that gravel consumption for the long term. So that's ongoing. And yeah, those situations are just being assessed as they need to be with rains and road conditions. You can see they're 36% complete on what the planned resurfacing was. So that's going quite well. And as we get through August, that number will jump significantly because it's just how it goes. It happens really fast when it gets going. Maintenance operators, you can see what they've summarized there. I'll say that due to council's commitment to Scandia tennis courts and whatnot, the chain link fence is down. They're cleaning everything up today, so that project is off the list. So that's how quickly that happened for that request. Cole already talked about the boil water advisory. Simply, there was a water line valve on the main line that needed to be replaced, and as he summarized about the pressure on the lines and whatnot, that was the result. The one thing that we don't have at Lake Newell Resort is water main looping off of the main line. So when it's the very first valve on the system, we've got no way to divert water to pressurize it from the backside. So that's the explanation as to why that happened. And as Cole said, it's risk management on AHS's part. And if you watch the news, there are other locations in Alberta that have been going through some boil watery health advisory shutdowns and stuff that I think maybe on the risk profile and stuff, they're just erring on the side of caution rather than taking any chances because we don't need to inundate our healthcare system. We don't need people getting sick for foreseeable reasons and just do the right thing first. So inconvenience, unfortunate, not planned. We do our best to plan for those things and have the countermeasures in place, and that's just what had to result. So Kinbrook Connection Pathway, you can see they've made good progress on the trailhead here. They're still working on benches and sunshades elsewhere down the path. End of August is when this is supposed to be done. So I've got a date in my head for a grand opening. Not going to release it yet because I want to make sure that we're getting there. But we'll get information out to council first and then to the public when we get things tied down here. Lake Newell Resort Pathway is under construction. They've got some of the base stripped, found some of the gas lines and stuff don't have the cover that they need, so some of them are being built up as condition of separation, so there's no disturbance and a risk with those natural gas lines. And otherwise, they're plugging through that as best they can to get things done and also contending with the rain. Lake Newell Resort Lift Station was not part of my report. Cole touched on that. The Manager of Planning Development Engineering is working with MP Engineering on the electrical upgrades and any other outstanding items from that lift station assessment. Tilly Lagoon desludging, Cole also spoke to. The timing for those bags to dewater, well, again, if it would stop raining and we had 35-degree weather, it would probably dewater a lot faster. We were hoping to keep the timeline to a minimum, maybe even get those biosolids out of there this fall. I can't guarantee that, but we'll be working with where we have the bags and the landowner, because it's located on private land, to just do what we need to do to make sure it's cost effective and it's capable of being transported to the landfill when time comes. Tilly landfill tender, that award was completed. And the contractor's scheduled to commence the third week of August, so no reason why that shouldn't be able to be wrapped up and closed out by the end of construction season here. Quotation, yeah, lift station already talked about. And then STIP funding was awarded, so we got our bridge files. We got Range Road 15-0, which is Lakeside Feeders coming south, that connection from Highway 1, considering it as part of the north-south truck route, so grade widening, surface treatment, all that. So there's lots of landowners to be engaged with, utility companies to be engaged with, and now that we got the STIP funding, we can put the foot on the gas pedal a little bit more and can get further along with our engagement with people. So other than that, I want to say that Field Day is being planned for September 4th. So I'll be pulling my crew together to get things tidied up, that we can get notification out to you to plan for all of that. Generally, it's the week between council meetings in September, but management team has something else going on that week, so we'll be looking at September 4th. Any questions?
Thank you, Mark. Are there questions? Matt and then Holly.
I just for a headline for Sandy, because I think she was looking for the dollar amount of that STIP grant for Range Road 15-0, $2,628,000. So that's a great news story for the county, because we had budgeted to fund that entire project from our paving reserve.
Good to hear. Thanks, Matt. Holly.
I have two questions for you. The first is about the bridge files, where actually what divisions are located in. Sorry, is that a hard question?
I didn't come prepared for that.
Sorry,
question.
I'm just because last time I was taken aback when one was in my division and I had no idea. So, the second question was in regards to the road treatment we put down. I haven't noticed a problem in my area, but with all that significant rainfall, how does that affect it in terms of long-term viability on the roads?
Until we get around with conditions that are optimal and see how much gravel's left on roads, that's really where the decisions come about as to what action we take after it. It can look like slop today, it can be graded up tomorrow, there's enough aggregate that's pulled back out of all of that road base, and it's fine. Got to remember, a lot of these roads were built back in the 60s. The subgrade and the structures that are all there were what was pulled out of the borrow ditches to build the roads. It wasn't necessarily good clay bases that came about to maintain them and keep them there. The long-term viability, I don't think we're just going to say that there's a whole bunch that needs to be done, because we've done the rural road study. There's a list for a 10-year improvement project list on all of that as to what they assessed for us, and that's where we're really at. If you're getting at the gravel viability of thing on dust abatement, I'm not sure how we things are holding up well in most areas with dust abatement where it's been applied. Things where gravel has been resurfaced again, it's holding up better. We don't do it every year, so sometimes those conditions kind of degrade, but they're holding up, and we'll resurface the others as time goes. And it's just the rotation of things. Have you noticed anything specific where dust abatement is that we should be looking at? Because I'm not aware of any that we're really...
I was actually kind of impressed how good it is holding up the ones I've seen, so I was more curious about if rain can actually be beneficial to it, or how that process works, because I expected it to break down, and I haven't seen that.
So if the dust abatement is capable of setting up, it's almost like pavement, and it'll shed water like there's no tomorrow. If it doesn't get set up and it starts to rut, we don't have the structure in the road, settles out, water's ponding on it and stuff, it can cause, it'll be no different than a regular gravel road. It'll fall apart. But for the better part, it seems to be holding in most locations I've seen, but we ended up with kind of ideal conditions for our dust abatement, because if we were getting what we're getting now, it wouldn't be as favorable.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Mark. Any other questions? Good to hear. Good report. Appreciate it.
Just a motion for both.
A motion to approve the municipal report.
Yeah, I'll
Go ahead.
motion that.
Thanks, Dan. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. And with that, if we could get a motion to move to a public hearing, which begins immediately. Kelly, all in favor that we move to a public hearing, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Welcome, Maria, and good morning to everyone in the public. We're here today to, just a minute, I need to get to the right page here. We are here to consider bylaw 2103-25, land use agreement 003. So this public hearing will be to hear response from the public, and we'll move right into it, and we'll ask Maria to give us the background, please.
Thank you. This land use amendment is located within the hamlet of Scandia. The location was once used as a coffee shop. However, the owner has a sale pending on the lots, and the purchaser would like to use the building as a residence. The adjacent parcels are zoned business. The lots north of the subject parcels are being assessed as residential properties, as that is the current use. However, they are zoned business. The Scandia Hall is located adjacent to the rear yard of the property, and the EID Historical Park is adjacent to the front yard. There is a lot to the south that is being used as a business property. The business hamlet district does not allow for a property to be used exclusively for residential purposes. The residential district allows for a dwelling or a mixed-use building should the owner decide to do business in the future. This was circulated to adjacent landowners, and there were no comments raised from adjacent landowners or referrals, and there were no comments or concerns from internal county departments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Maria. Now, is there anyone from the public interested or wanting to make a comment with regard to this? Is there anything online? Anyone present here today wanting to comment on this from the public? Seeing none, we can accept a motion to move out of the public hearing. Holly makes that motion. All in favor, please indicate. Okay, that's carried. It was quick and easy. Thanks, Maria. With that, let's let's move on at item number 8, bylaws. So we need a motion then, as per the response or lack of response from the public hearing. Is there a motion to consider second reading for bylaw 2013-25? Adina?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. And similarly with third reading for bylaw 2103, Amanda makes that motion.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Amanda. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. And let's move on to item number 8.2, bylaw. Lane is coming in. Bylaw 201-25, the Newell Regional Emergency Management Partnership, second reading. Lane, you welcome back to the meeting.
Yes, this bylaw has been the subject of previous discussion with council, having granted first reading previous to this. All of the other communities, partners have done likewise, and we're just in a position to move ahead with second reading and would expect to come back for third reading in September.
Okay. Thanks, Lane. Are there any questions or comments? Or someone prepared to make a motion that we proceed with second reading? Thank you. Kelly makes that motion. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Thanks, Lane. At this point, we'll ask Todd to come in. Todd's not. Mr. Todd Green, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. Good thing I didn't go far that time. Yeah. All right, quick update for everybody, if that's okay. Okay, I'll be quick. So spraying and weed inspecting continues. We've actually had a pretty decent year that way, and we're actually going to start some preventative Downey Brome work. If you guys remember last fall, we did some preventative work. We were chatting with the company, and they wanted us to go a little bit earlier. So we're going to be hitting that up starting next week. Austin's been working hard on his pasture power up trials, and part of that is why we got ahead with the Downey Brome work. So we're going to be doing some Downey Brome work out there with 3 different chemicals in the Patricia area on a relatively large patch of Downey Brome that's in Producer's Field. Roadside mowing. If you're on the south side of the county, you would have noticed we are super behind. About 2 weeks more than normal. I don't know what day is it today, August 7th. We're usually done by just after the long weekend, the first whole pass. And we're thinking we still got 2 weeks left. So we're working. They're continuing. You should see them in Rolling Hills next week, Scandia the week next week, and yeah. Anyways, we're working. We're trying. The hamlet mowing is also behind, and we're happy for it. Everything is gorgeous and green. We don't have to worry about fires. Yeah, I know. I imagine it's annoying for anybody, but we are trying our best to stay on top of things. Emerson has had a wonderful couple of weeks. We did have a very unwanted visitor the week before the long weekend. I don't know if anybody heard. We had a black bear in the park. So that was a completely new experience, and we weren't exactly ready for that. So, snakes, bats we've talked about. We're pretty good at those things now. I sent you guys the email about the bats on CBC. But yeah, black bear. So anyways, the RCMP was gracious enough to come down once we spotted it. They did some checking around. We let all the patrons know that we're there to be cautious. I mean, we're in the middle of the prairies. We don't put our bacon away after we're done having breakfast. But we had to be a little bit more cautious. And then Fish and Wildlife spent some time there over the next week to make sure that our visitor had left. So that was new. That was kind of different.
Where did he go?
I don't know where he went, but he was actually there for quite a while before we seen him. We tried to ship him as far towards Gem as we could. No.
He showed up, but nobody else saw him. I was the only one who saw him.
So that was just, it was just an interesting phone call to receive. So now if you ever look at the Canadian Tire purchases, we bought bear spray. That is an actual thing. We had to buy that. But anyways, we believe he's gone. So that is positive news. There was a great berry season down there this year. They did find some bear scat in the woods. So it is true. Bears do that in the woods. And it was plumb full of berries. So I know. I apologize. Sandra, you said she was looking for headlines earlier. I guess that was, there we go. And then CDC, because we always love talking about CDC. I am excited to let you know that the Griffin building renovations is going very well. The contractors there have all the walls up that we needed to put up, all the walls down that needed to come down. Drywalling is done, and we're going to start painting next week. So I heard Greg is a good painter and Matt is a good painter, so expect the phone calls, boys. It's going to be great. We are still meeting with potential clients and collaborators. It's always so positive. I know we had a quick CDC meeting this morning that some of you were there at, but it's always so positive and encouraging to hear everybody when they come and they see the place and they want to partner. They just don't know how yet. So I think the future is bright out there. We do have one potential greenhouse trial that we're hoping to meet with next week. Or sorry, no, that's tomorrow now. Tomorrow we're going to meet with them and try to figure out what their timelines are and what potential they need. And we actually had our first patron move into the shop space as storage. So we are actually making some money on building stuff now. So anyways, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, which is good because it is getting a little squinty there for a while, but I think we're moving forward and I think we should all be happy with how it's going. And that is what I had for you today.
Thank you, Todd. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. Perfect. Thank you. Let's take a 5-minute break and we'll reconvene at 11:45. Well, welcome everyone, and good to see everybody here this morning. I'm going to sit back here for a minute just to make a few comments. There are a few things that are highlights for the county that don't happen all that often, and one of those is this morning being able to celebrate 100 years of family operations in the county of Newell. That is really exciting. It's a highlight. It's an emotional experience for every family, I'm sure, and we understand that very much. And the dynamic and the fabric of our communities is established by people who have come here to settle their roots in our area, and certainly we're celebrating that together with the families that can celebrate that at this time. So welcome the Hammergren and the Nisnik and the Johnson families this morning. And I'm going to call on Todd to make a few comments, and then I think there's I'm going to let you take your way through it, because I think we want to hear introductions of all of the families as well, and we'll present the plaques or the yard signs. Welcome.
Yes, thanks for having me again. This is a wonderful day. As we remember, we were going through policies not that long ago, and this policy came up, and the policy basically states that we want to celebrate families that have farmed in our beautiful county for 100 years. And we hadn't had anybody come forward that we knew of that had been farming for 100 years in our county. And we almost rescinded that policy. We almost said, well, maybe this isn't important. And then one wonderful councillor took it upon herself to start digging into some history. And this is some amazing history, and I can't do it justice in the time that we have available to us today. But we do have the Hammergren family here. Wayne is here with his two sisters, and I'm going to screw all of this up. So I was hoping, if council would allow, that maybe we could have one of the family members from each of the families come up one at a time and just give a brief history of their farming in our county, and then we could take a great picture with the Reeve handing the yard sign. And then, of course, we're going to enjoy lunch together, because I believe food brings everybody together, and what a great time to come together.
That's a great idea.
This would be a first that I've had great ideas, but let's... So maybe if we could start, because the Hammergrens are on the left, Wayne would be interested in
Sure.
coming up?
Come on up, Wayne, and introduce your family members here, and tell us a little bit about the history. That's good. Just have to press that, turn that red light. Got it, perfect.
There we go. Yeah, that's my sister Eunice on the far end, and my sister Shawneen. And my grandfather and grandmother immigrated from Sweden in, I'd say, my grandmother came over in 2015, or 1915. And my grandfather came before that, and I don't know the day. They went to San Francisco, where they met and married. And then they found out about land in Canada, so they decided to come up here, and they homesteaded here. And in the winter, my grandfather would go down to Seattle and work in the lumber camps until he got established. In fact, he knew nothing about farming, because he didn't know how to even put the harness on horses when he first got here. But yeah, he died in 1940, and my grandmother, she kept going till about 1963 when she passed away. Then my uncle, he took the farm over from then till I took it over in about 1989, and I've been farming there ever since. And yeah, it's been ours for quite a while. That's about it. So
great history and great story, and I'll come forward and we'll present this plaque right away. Congratulations.
Does anybody else want pictures?
Yes, you do.
Oh, yeah, I think it's important. Yes, come on in. Thank you, Wayne. It's amazing the grit of the people before us. To think you could even start farming now is a challenge. I can't imagine if you couldn't put a harness on a horse. To be fair, I couldn't put a harness on a horse, but that's not really fair. If it's okay with Grieve to continue,
Go ahead.
I'd love to invite Brad Nisnik up to tell us about their family history.
Welcome, Brad.
Good morning.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us here. You know, this is my wife, Kristen, my uncle Jack, my son Brett, my daughter Brooklyn, my dad George, my mom Joan, Jody and Bruce, my brother and his wife, and then two of their three daughters are in attendance, Eva and Kate. So that's all of us attending. I was never in 4-H, Todd, so I really didn't appreciate the impromptu, but luckily my sister-in-law had filled something out for our open farm days last year, so I will just share that with the room. John Joseph Nisnik, originally from Austria-Hungary, was working for Carnegie Steel in Pennsylvania in the 1920s when a high-pressured salesman came urging families to move to Canada. John and 4 other men set off for a place called Antelope Creek, Alberta, where it was determined a Slovak community would be established. Life was challenging in those times, and John persevered when the rest of his companions returned to the U.S., then bringing his wife, Mary, and 2 children to live with him. Through the years, the farm raised crops of wheat, barley, alfalfa seed, flax, grass, and hay. In the more recent years, canola for seed and commercial sales, as well as corn becoming the primary crop for silage and standing winter grazing. Shorthorn and Hereford cattle were the first on the farm, along with pigs and sheep. As time progressed, the cattle were the only animal to stay, and a progression of Black Angus evolved, as well as a mix of beef booster in the 1980s. In the early 2000s, the farm moved to a strictly commercial Black Angus herd, and in 2012 accepted an opportunity to partner with Brant Lake Wagyu that continues today, seeing about 40% of our Angus herd bred to the Wagyu program. Irrigation over time in the Eastern Irrigation District made the land even more productive. These were changes from contour ditch irrigation to machine-leveled flood with siphon tubes. Next came wheel moves, ditches were replaced with gated pipe, and pivots that advanced from high pressure, high efficiency to low pressure pivots. My grandfather, John Jr., married Genovia Wasenko and raised their 5 kids on the original homestead. Over time, 2 sons, Jack and George, would stay to work the farm, helping to bring it to what it is today. And in 1994, George's 2 sons returned from college and university to farm full-time. In 2025, Nisnik Ranches is a mixed ranch operation with 2,000 irrigated acres and 3,300 dry acres in Antelope Creek, as well as summer pasture in Stettler and Hanna. Jack and Donna, George and Joan, Brad and Kristen, Bruce and Jody, along with 5 fifth-generation children, operate this 105-year-old heritage. Nisnik Ranches were the proud recipients of the County of Newell 2011 Calgary Stampede Farm Family Award. In 2021, we received the Certified Angus Beef Canadian Commitment to Excellence Award, and we've been an open farm days host international tours with the Canadian Angus Association, and as well as many private tours. And we were recently featured with Mike Foss's Chef 2Ks on his YouTube channel. Thank you.
Congratulations. Why don't
Thanks,
you have your family come up and we'll present this.
Well, I certainly don't know about anybody else, but I think Brad's a shoe-in for divisional champs at 4-H. He did a great job. If nothing else, he can be a leader. I have had the opportunity to do quite a few 4-H judging opportunities, and I have made some notes for you for next time. And the last family we have here today is the Johnson family out of Scandia. Blaine is here to give us a quick history.
Welcome, Blaine.
Hello, Arno. Thanks for acknowledging this. I think it's good to acknowledge history, because what built the county is agriculture, and strong families build a community and do public service too, like you and Holly. So Blaine, John, Warren, Micah, Phyllis, Phoenix, a cousin from Manitoba, Bo, and Levi. So they came 1920 to Scandia. Albert, which is Neil's grandfather, and my grandfather Oscar came to Scandia in 1920, 2 bachelors, built a shack, started, bought 80 acres. The neighbors went broke. They moved down the road 4 years later to the original place now, or 5 years later. So 105 years this year. Started in the sheep business with their neighbor. Partnered, took a gamble and leased some land after the Knight Watson Company had their sheep all die off in the winter, and they got discouraged about Scandia. So Oscar and Albert took a chance with Ben Johnson and went big in the sheep business, and then they started purchasing land, and then they decided to split their families, which was a good decision. And Albert went to Brooks, and their family with Neil did their farming there. And Scandia, Oscar's sons did farming, which was Lawrence, my father, and his brother Richard. They did farming, and then they switched from the sheep to the cattle in, I think, about 1940, and so it's our operation has evolved into a cattle ranch and irrigation farm, and so Richard and Lawrence did it, and then my mom was key with Lawrence as well, and then my brother Warren and I started, and our sister still helps us with veterinary work on our operation. And now we're thinking about transitioning with so I'm the 3rd generation, and the 4th generation has interest, and they're planning their careers around agriculture as well. So water is the key. That's been the success, stability, and irrigation has been helped to be success of the farm. And purchasing and owning land has been an important thing as well for the success of the operation. And I don't know what else I need to say. Growing a variety of crops now, diversification and stability of irrigation in the county of Newell has been very good for our family to survive for 105 years. And then on one final note, which is kind of neat, is the Hammergan family's been neighbors and friends since they started. Kind of neat.
Yeah.
Scandinavian settlement, they put the people in the same, with common interests together, so that's kind of good. Good neighbors for 100 years.
Great to hear. Congratulations and welcome. Bring your family up. How are we doing, Catherine? Are we online? Good, thank you. Let's believe that we're done up to 11.6, policy review of policy 011-25, councillors' compensation and expenses. Matt, you've done some good work on this. Please.
Yeah, big thanks to the Councillor Compensation Advisory Committee. Council received their presentation last meeting. They had a number of recommendations, the majority of which I got the sense during their presentation Council agreed with. So you'll see in the RFD the recommendations which have been accepted and rolled into the updated draft of the policy, and those recommendations which were rejected. The rejected recommendation being not to roll committee of the whole, regular council meetings, organizational meetings, council orientation, and strategic planning sessions in under your basic monthly honorarium. The sense I got during the discussion last meeting was the preference was to continue using the hourly per diem rate, where you have to show up to the meeting to be compensated for it. You don't just take it to the bank as part of the base pay. What else here? The updated policy applies the 7% increase to both the basic honorarium and per diem rate as recommended by the committee. And the recommendation from administration is that council approve the updated policy to take effect the date of the 2025 organizational meeting, which is in October, with the current policy remaining in effect until that time. So this would be for new council. I'm open for questions or suggested edits.
Thank you, Matt. Are there questions or comments? Lynette, please.
Can we just clarify where travel landed on all of that? Was that still staying separate, or was that being lumped in somehow?
Go ahead, Matt, please.
Administration has not recommended any changes on the travel component.
Okay, thanks. Greg?
Yeah, and thanks, Matt, for your answers to some of my emails, inquiries on the travel. I as far as I'm concerned, in my own mind, putting that together, I'm justified with everything the way it is as far as travel goes. My concern is just with the base amount and our compensation with respect to our the other municipalities in Alberta that are within 5% higher in our revenue, or our the amount of money that we bring in as far as a municipality, and where we're at with and the five below us, in compensation. So the average compensation with the five below and the five above the county in Newell is upwards of $63,000. So and that's the average. And I'm thinking about it, and I'm going, well, why is both the county of Newell and Wheatland County significantly, and we're talking almost $20,000 a year, less than our comparable municipalities? And this information I got from the slides and from some of the emails, the information that Matt provided. I put it together, and I'm going, why is that? And are we shorting ourselves? Are not necessarily shorting ourselves, but are we? It's difficult when you're an elected official and you're trying to make up your mind, trying to make these decisions as far as what your worth is. And I would think that our constituents would want us to be in line with similar municipalities as far as counties go. I don't think they want to see us significantly lower than our peers. Maybe I'm out to lunch on that, but I know that I would want to be proud as a taxpayer, want to be proud that our county is similar to the 5 above us and the 5 below us on average. We wouldn't be the highest and we wouldn't be the lowest then. So my recommendation, I've done some math, and my recommendation, I don't mind the idea of lumping those meetings that you suggested, Matt, together in with our basic salary, I guess you would say. I don't mind that, because our duties as municipal people that are in government, our duty is to be here. Our duty is to take, we all know when these meetings are. We all know when the committee of the whole, strategic planning, those type of things are. And it's our duty as elected officials to be there. And if we're not there, that's up to us to basically answer to our constituents on that. So I don't think it's really, I know there are rules with respect to the number that you're gone and all those type of things, but I think it's up to our constituents to make that decision. If we're not coming to our meetings, that's an issue. And that's our constituents that we need to answer to on that. Just like the federal government and the provincial government. They're paid an annual salary, and then they're paid extra for their committees. So my suggestion is we can lump those together in the one amount, and then be paid our hourly rate for travel and for to those meetings, and also for travel and our committee meetings, including RMA and those type of things. Those would all remain the same on the hourly rate. In my mind, if we were to do that, lump those in, my calculations show that we would still be under that $60,000 average amount. Actually, this 63 is the average, but that 60,000 average amount, we'd still be under that if we were to increase our monthly to $3,000 a month, lump those meetings into our duty, and then pay our hourly rate for the rest. That'll bring us to that right around that 60. Some will be higher, of course, due to mileage. Some will be lower. My particular one, I'd be lower. I'd be in the 50s somewhere, because of the driving. So if we were to not lump them together and just pay the hourly, and that I get that too, because then we're not paid for meetings we don't attend, that I would suggest that we should be paying ourselves $2,500 a month rather than the $2,000 and change that's suggested. So that's my math. That's how I've looked at things, and I don't know how it sits with everyone else, but I thought I'd put it out there, and it would bring us within, even below the average of the higher 5 and the lower 5 of our peers.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Any other any comments? Neil and then Kelly, please.
Yeah, I know what some other councillors get paid around the province, and I agree with Greg. I think we're picking it for 4 years, and I think something like $2,500 honorarium, $2,750 for the reeve is a fair increase, assuming it's going over 4 years, and it would bring us up, not to the top of the pile by any means, but a little closer than where we are right now. Or go to 3,000 and do the lump in your council. We don't have that many people that miss very many meetings anyways. Like, I don't think that's an issue, but if you do it that way, go 3,000 and an hourly on the other ones. I think these numbers are a little bit low. I think the Reeve is a little bit high and we're a little bit low. Just because of the difference, it's quite a bit.
Okay, thanks. Kelly.
So I want to answer a few of the comments through the chair. Historically, the reason that we went to the hourly rate before I came on council was because councillors were taking advantage, and they were abusing the system. Our report card is only once every 4 years. I've been involved with councils in my previous work life where there are even illegal activities going on, like fraud, and the only thing that you can do is wait till the next election. There is nothing you can do. So if you want to put yourself in a position where a councillor is not performing or slack or whatever, go ahead and make a blanket wage, because that'll bring out those people for sure. I'm not in favor of such a big jump. I think a 100% increase would be unjustifiable. We're here for a community. This is community service. This is not a paid job. I have had a career where I got a monthly wage and I worked for a living. I've been retired for 12 years now. I just want to say that we can't look at this as a job. This is a community service position, and I'm losing my voice, so I'll stop there.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. Holly?
Just a couple of thoughts. If we lumped it together, there's other consequences too. Dan has done, I think, a remarkable job of making a lot of meetings while going to school full time. But if we didn't have that flexibility, we might have had to have a by-election for or another election in Division 1, and that's expensive too. This has given us the ability to be flexible with people's needs. So that needs to be considered. When we look at the individual pay for each councillor, we have 9 councillors. Other ones do have 7 or 5. So theoretically, they have more work than we do. So that could make a difference too to the wages. And in terms of salary, it's amount that we are receiving. It's two sides of a coin, because on one hand, you have to pay people well enough that people that have other jobs and other lives are willing to give time to do this. We need people who are skilled, who have different walks of life, who are willing to try to make time in their schedule. Those of us who have businesses on the side, it can be a hard balance. I know, Greg, you find that too, that it's hard to give enough time sometimes. We have busy lives. So that is a consideration. So just some thoughts.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? I personally like the proposal, or the way that Matt put it forward following our last discussion. I'm okay with things pretty close to the way they were with the recommended increases from the review committee, short of lumping everything together. I think too that keeping as much accountability in the process as possible is a good thing, because it's a very, as we know, these are always sensitive issues for the public for a variety of reasons. But so I'm okay with the modest increase in keeping things the way that we've had them, realizing that we did some work on it through the course of the last 4 years and updated some things. But anyone else? Greg.
Yeah, and I appreciate, Kelly, what you were saying about the lumping together. The idea that yeah, you're absolutely right. 4 years is a long time. And for the taxpayer to be able, the ratepayer to be able to voice their opinion through the ballot box every 4 years is a long time. So I do agree that the lumping together may not be the proper way to go. I still stand by the increase that progressive change as far as the salaries has not been made over years and years. So the taxpayers have gotten a very good deal. I know that it's not a job. I know that. And that's why I'm doing this. It's not for the paycheck. But I also appreciate getting compensated for what I'm worth as an individual. And it's hard to understand unless you're actually in working mode also, which I have a side business. So the time is very, very precious to me. And you know, and if we want to be able to bring diversity into our council chambers, sometimes we have to be able to provide that, because not everybody is retired. Not everybody is a family with a second income. It's important for us to be able to provide more diversity into council. So that's, and unfortunately, money is part of that. It's just kind of the way the economics go. And I appreciate your words, because it's hard to talk about these things without sounding greedy.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else, Neil?
Yeah, I don't mind bringing it up a little bit closer to the 60, but I mean, it's only 2 months away. Sandra will have all this in the paper. If we made a mistake, they don't have to invite us back. This is the way I see it.
Okay, are we ready? We've got a recommendation, I think, in the work that Matt did before us, or we want to put this off for another month? Just the details are...
You betcha. So through the chair, the accepted recommendations include, and you'll see in your marked up copy of the policy, the added definition for remuneration, defining what an internal committee of the county is, defining what's considered a working session for council, clarifying when the county will cover costs for spouses of councillors attending special events, banquets, conferences, or conventions, and putting a maximum annual cap of $200 per councillor. Rejected recommendations were to not include regular council meetings, committee of the whole meetings, organizational meetings, council orientation, and strategic planning sessions in under your basic honorarium. That assumption of rolling all of those in, the committee would have bumped the basic honorarium for the Reeve up from $2,062 up to $2,762, and for councillors from $1,375 to $2,026. If you look at the marked up policy, you'll see what the 7% increase does to both the basic honorarium as well as the hourly. And that's a 7% increase that the committee had recommended for those.
Dan?
I feel wrong if I didn't say something about all of this, I think. I 100% agree with the sentiment that if you want to attract good people and diverse people, then you got to make it pay. You got to make it worth their while to sacrifice their time for the community service. It is a community service. I absolutely agree with that. I didn't do this because I wanted to get rich, because if I did, I wouldn't have done this. It's not about the money. It's about other things. But it is a sacrifice on your time, and you have to be rewarded for that. The reward of the remuneration, whichever it is, as it sits right now, is not enough to attract very, very wide group of people. I'd bring that up a little higher, and you might be able to attract other people that right now wouldn't do this. So I think you're right. I think bringing it up higher would be a good thing. But 3,000 is pretty darn high compared to what we're at right now. That's a huge jump. Luckily, I'm not running again, and but if I was, and we went 3,000, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't get elected again. That's a big jump. Also, kind of on the fence in that wrapping all the meetings up into the basic, then to the honorarium. If we did that, and like I'm an exception right now. Typically, people don't run for council and then decide to go be a full-time university student. So this would be an exception that likely wouldn't happen again. But if somebody were to be missing these many meetings, there is a way to hold them to account. I mean, it's not just the ratepayer's job, it's the councillor's job. If someone's missing too many meetings, then if they're not going to their committees, we have ways we can deal with that. Council has a way to deal with that if they so choose. Well, yeah, you can take sanctions against. You can take them off of committees. You can reduce their pay, whatever. There's ways of dealing with that. But it's just so much easier to just pay by the meeting. That just deals with it. And you don't have to worry about that down the road. So I'm kind of on the fence of, yeah, let's keep that separate, keep it on an hourly rate, although I do like the idea of making it simpler. Yeah, I don't know. I also think if you wanted to bring the pay up to Holly's point, if there was fewer councillors, like in other divisions, maybe it makes more sense because they have more work to do. So they should be getting paid a little bit more. But with 9 councillors, it's tough. We could have, if we're down to 7 or 5 when we changed it, then I could say, yeah, you need to bump it up because now they're going to be working that much more. At 9 councillors, we're not going to be working very much more than we are right now. That's a huge pay jump. I don't think I can get behind that much of a pay increase. I kind of like the way it's set up. A little bit higher would have been nice to see, but I'd be willing to accept what they've given us, I think.
Thanks, Dan. Adina.
I'm sure it would be laid out really clear for some of us that are a little bit challenged when it comes to getting things right, to know what is included in the honorarium, what's not included. I feel like I might run into problems with, okay, I went to this, is this included, not included? When I might get confused as to when I'm supposed to be writing down the hours for something and when I'm not, right? You know, like COW's not included, but the regular meeting is. Okay, so we had a regular meeting, but then RMA showed up, and then we went to CDC. So is that included in the honorarium, or is that are those hours I put down? I feel like it could get a little confusing for somebody.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Someone ready to? I think we've got a proposal in front of us. We either need to tweak it or leave it as it is. I think I've said what I think, and a few people have. Neil?
Yeah, I don't mind what's going on there, but $80 a month isn't much. And I agree with what Dan just said. The other one was way too high. What about something like $300 or something substantial, a little more substantial?
Thanks, Neil. Lynette?
I feel like we got a committee to set things out for us, and they went through things. We didn't 100% agree with everything they said, but there was a thought process to it, and I think most of us are okay with what has been outlined here now, so I'd be willing to make the motion to accept this.
Thank you. Okay, thanks, Lynette. We have a motion on the floor as per the recommendation that Matt has presented. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All in favor of the motion, Lynette's motion as presented, please indicate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 opposed. Okay, that is carried. Thank you. Okay, that's good. That's a discussion that's not easy to have, but we've dealt with it for a period of time again. Thank you. Let's move on to 11.7, Alberta Municipalities Convention on November the 12th to 14th. Ariana.
Thank you. All right, so RFD is before you. October and November is a busy month. The Alberta Municipalities Convention is usually at the end of September, but due to the election, they've moved it to November 12th and 14th, which conflicts with our budget review and the Committee of the Whole meeting. We've been sending councillors, a couple of representatives to the urban one for several years now. I don't want to reread my entire report, but the two recommendations, there's kind of two options. Like in the last election, we opted, it was the same kind of scenario, so we opted not to send people that year just because of the amount of conflicts and just catch up with the following years. So you could do that again, or you could confirm to send 2 delegates. I have 2 rooms booked that I could cancel if you go that option, but then you might want to consider rescheduling the Cowan budget meeting, and I think that was it.
Thank you, Ariana. I would suggest, and I mean it's up to council to further discuss, but I think we should have somebody at the or at least set up so that someone can go to the Alberta Municipalities Convention. I think that we've seen over the course of the last number of years that the benefit of collaboration and things happen. It's, you know, there's communication that happens that doesn't always happen elsewhere. So I'd like to see us shift that last budget meeting if we can, and keep the door open to attend the Alberta Municipalities Convention. But that's my opinion. I'm certainly open to further discussion on it. Neil.
Well, the way this is set up, you'd almost have to be in Edmonton for a full week to go to both of them.
You mean RMA and Alberta Municipalities?
Yeah, I think it's good to be there, but...
the Alberta Municipalities is in Calgary, I think.
Yeah, but still,
anyway,
that's a lot of days.
Yeah. Go ahead. Thanks, Neil. Holly?
And then the EOEP courses are held November 14th and 15th, according to the thing. So is that, so our training, the one we have to take, that is not associated with that, Matt, right? This is nothing that we have to take as new counselors. That's not the new counselor training. That's a different time, right?
No.
There's so much stuff going on.
That is optional completely, yeah. So that is not compulsory. That's completely optional, yeah. Right? Yeah. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, through the chair, we'll cover off the required orientation. So all of the MGA checklist items between our legal, Brownlee coming in, and our session with George Cuff.
Okay, thank you. Lynette and then Holly.
I guess the question would be how, like, staff has already kind of got these dates set to move the budget meeting and stuff. Does that still work okay? Okay. Then I would say let's move that meeting so that people can still go to AB Munis.
Okay, no, I mean, that's an option if we make that motion. Holly, you move that we,
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll make that a motion.
okay, thank you, that we move the budget meeting to accommodate attendance at the Alberta Munis Convention. Okay. Matt is suggesting November 25th or 26th for that meeting, the budget meeting.
Arno, can I get clarification?
Go ahead.
When we have the George Cuff and the other training, like, is that all in October? Like, that's all October, okay.
I see that we have a council meeting on the 27th. I think prefer that let's group our meetings. So the 26th is the, let's propose the 26th for the budget meeting then. Is that okay with you in that motion? Or maybe we don't need the motion, but that's good. Okay. Okay. Any further discussion? So the motion is that we move the budget meeting to November 26th. Full stop. I'll call a question. All in favor, please indicate. Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Ariana. That covers that off, right? Thanks. (11.9) Requests for function of council. Are there any requests for functions of council? 11.8. Sorry, 11.8? Correct. Sorry about that. Glasses don't do me any good sitting on the table, and I get tired of wearing them. 11.8, Rural Municipalities of Alberta Fall Convention. Ariana, please.
Yes, that is the next convention. This one's Rural Municipalities of Alberta. All councillors will be registered for this one. The EOP for the Alberta municipalities, I don't think you're allowed to attend that one because we're not actually a member. I'm not 100% sure. But they do have the Munis 101 as part of this one if you did want to partake in that one. So what I'm asking about this one is mostly, it's time to start arranging your meetings with the ministers, and I realize that there's going to be council change, but you need to ask more than a couple weeks in advance. So if there's any ministers that you'd like to meet with during RMA, I think Minister of Environment and Protected Areas, Agriculture and Irrigation, that was the one. That was brought up at a previous meeting.
Agriculture and irrigation, transportation and corridors, I think we should meet with as well. There's some questions going on. What others? Yeah, I think we're doing well. Is that good? Oh, Dan?
It's hard to know what anybody else's priorities are and who's going to be back on the council. Do we have anything that's for sure going to be on their plate that maybe, like, I can't think of anything, but I don't think we've set anything in motion that they'll have to, or the next council will have to deal with, right? Or have we?
Well, I mean, CDC, there's some things happening that will be ongoing, and I think also some of the road building initiatives, like I expect that 873 and when, you know, some of that discussion, I think we'll probably get more clarity from those two ministries. I don't know of anything that an environment really. Pardon me? Right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Highway 36 and on the interchange there, or the overpass discussion. There's a few things that there'll maybe be some clarity, and yeah.
Which is those two ministers that you?
Yeah, those are the two that we're covering. Yeah. I can't think of anything else, and we can, as it emerges, we can still add it if we need to. Okay. Do we need a motion for that? Not really. No. Okay. That covers that, Ariana. Thank you. Now, 11.9, requests for functions of council. Any? Bassano Fire Hall grand opening is Saturday. Should that be a function of council? Yeah? Okay.
I'll make a motion that the Bassano grand opening is a function of council.
Thanks,
for
Lynette.
whoever wants to go.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. All in favor of that motion, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. What else do we have? Anything? Seeing none, we'll move on to there being no, go ahead, Kelly, please.
Just since we're not meeting again for the rest of this month, just a reminder that Mark mentioned September 4th is our field day, so be sure and put that in your calendar. And also Foothills Little Bow is September 19th. So we've seen some correspondence on
Right,
that.
right.
Okay.
Okay, anyone have any post-agenda items? If not, we're getting, there's information items. Any questions or comments on any of those? If not, do we have a motion to move in camera? Or, sorry, question period, that's right. Thanks, Matt, and I'm sorry that I missed that at the start of a meeting today, but we try to twice in a meeting have question period, one at the start and one toward the end, which we will have right now. Are there any questions from either the public online or someone in the audience here? Come on up, sir, and take a mic. If you just press that button, the red light will go on, and then I'd ask you to introduce yourself and welcome to our meeting. And I'm sorry that I missed this opportunity early in the meeting.
Yeah.
So.
Good afternoon. My name is Dave Stabler from Rolling Hills. There seems to be a big problem in the communication system from the county all the way through to Newell to Rolling Hills. With the infrastructure that we have, just to give you a short, brief history of it, before '63, everybody had a septic field. There was no other system in the community. And then somewhere in the '60s, they came in and put in the system we have right now, which is a low pressure sewage system. But how they got to that point was when they had the septic field, the county at that time hired an engineer to come in, and they demanded that they put in a septic field in the schoolyard. And the person that lived across the street said, it's not going to work here because it's too flat, there's the too high water table, is not gonna work. Oh no, I know what I'm doing, we're gonna do this. Okay, away you go. All of a sudden, there's a lake on the other side of the road from where this guy lived, and the whole end of the schoolyard couldn't be used because it's underwater. So they had to come up with some system, so that's how the low pressure sewage system ended up in Rolling Hills. And it's worked fine for the last 50 years, 50 some years, whatever that is. But now there's rumor, talk, all that stuff. Back in 2012, we did have a town meeting where they said there's a possibility we might have to change over to a gravity system. But at that point, they said, well, we don't know for sure what that's all going to entail. They did have some issues in our system since that. The community at that time of that meeting said, no, it'd be sort of nice to have, but we can't afford that system. At that time, I think the prices are around $12 million for the whole complete system, whatever that is. Now their talk is coming back that we may have to visit that again. And that now the price is like $20, $30 million. We don't know what's all entailed. There's no itemized list of, A, B, C, D, all the way down the line what you're going to get. Right now, the houses do not have any problem getting the sewage to the lift station. And originally that seemed to be a problem. We used to have a couple of dugouts or whatever, and the stormwater would go into one dugout and then get pumped out, and the sewage went into sort of another one and then it got pumped out. Said, well, that's not right or whatever, so we need a lift station to lift it, to pump it to 3 feet to get it into a pipe to go to Lagoon. So they did that. But in doing so, they created another issue of the sewage smell. Because it's an enclosed system, the water hitting the air, you get the smell. Manholes do the same thing on a gravity system. You walk by a manhole, you can get that. Where the problem is, the communication in the paper, last week's paper said, Dan was correct and said the people he did talk to said no, they couldn't afford that. But then he said, we might have to make the decision for them. And I said, ooh, that doesn't sound too good. We haven't heard what is, what isn't, what could, what would, none of that. So
Do you have a specific question?
we're asking, how can you make a decision without the information? We're not getting any information here. We're just getting an advertisement in the paper that the decision may or may not be made here. And none of us have talked. The county hasn't come to us and said, hey, we're doing this, or we want to do this, we need to do this. The town hasn't come and said, hey, we could have this. That hasn't happened. So in the paper, got everybody excited to say, we'll make the decision for them.
Okay. Maybe that was a report of a discussion that happened around the table here maybe, but your question is there going to be or is there going to be communication about what the plan is?
Yes.
What the situation is?
Yes, because we have an advisory board there, and nobody hears from them. Even a representative may call them because he's going to a meeting. What do you guys think of this or that or the other? Well, they haven't had a chance to talk to anybody, so they yes, no, or maybe, hang up, away you go. So now, whether it's the right information is getting to the right people or not is the next question.
Okay. Maybe I'm just going to ask, Matt, could you just give us a bit of a sketch of the framework of how we would get to the point where we would need to take some action, either by whatever means in Rolling Hills?
Yeah, as Mr. Stabler has mentioned, the conversation around Rolling Hills infrastructure has been ongoing for quite some time, 2012 being the last formal engagement with the hamlet there. During our budget planning session, Rolling Hills infrastructure came up as needing some attention and putting pen to paper and plan. And that's about where we're at in the process. So no decisions have been made on Rolling Hills beyond administration receiving direction that council wants to have that conversation as part of our budget planning process. Internally, we do have a number of infrastructure studies that staff will be looking at dusting off, revisiting the plans, and bringing that back to council as part of our 2026 budget. So I don't anticipate you're going to see anything for 2026 penciled in. During our budget planning conversation, we talked about financial capacity. We've already talked about the local community largely being on fixed income. It'll be a stretch if we have to do the project through local improvement tax. So we are looking for whether it's a STIP grant or when our LGFF capital becomes available again, and that's not till 28, 29. So at this point, it's really preliminary conversations on, hey, we need to circle back around to Rolling Hills, and are we going to replace that low pressure system with a gravity system? And if so, what does that look like? We need the updated numbers and a plan to finance it all, and a plan for how we're going to turn everybody's lives upside down while we go digging up roads and accommodating the populace there, similar to what we're doing in Lake Newell Resort. So if there was any undue concern from the story in the paper, that's our apology. And we'll do our best to communicate with the Hamlet Advisory Board as we get details together, but it's not an urgent matter currently for us in the planning stages.
Can I make one more suggestion? for these advisory board meetings, that the town be included in each and every one of them. Because if the 1 or 2 or 3 people on the advisory board, some of them work, some of the people in the community work, others are retired, others are wherever, they don't always get to meet and greet and all that sort of stuff. Whereas each time they have one of those advisory meetings, if at least some of the town is there, then the information can flow. Right now, it is not flowing at all, period.
Okay, thanks, Dan. I'm going to ask Dan for some comments. Go ahead.
First, usually whenever you're standing here behind the microphone, you're really careful about choosing your words. Sometimes you're not. So that conversation we were having was one of those times where maybe I wasn't so careful in choosing my words. And reading it in the paper, yes, it definitely looks like, oh wow, what are they doing? And I was like, so my apology goes out for that. Should have chosen better words. It does come off as though we're about to make a big decision for you. Not at all that way. Like Matt laid it out pretty clear. If anything was to start happening, it would start with a discussion. That's the only way forward. It would start with a discussion. And then when it got to that point where we were back in 2012, when it was put to the town and the town decided, or the hamlet decided, no, we don't want to do that. So let's skip ahead to that again. That's what my comment was talking about. After another whole long process had gone down the road and the hamlet still said, no, we can't afford it, maybe that's when the county would have to jump in and say, we're going to have to make the hard decision for you because it needs to happen. So I bypassed a whole lot of information in my comments, and I apologize for that. That wasn't right. So yeah, that's mostly what I wanted to say. Yeah, this is mostly on me. I'd say this is all on me.
And I'll also say in Dan's defense that the context of what you said was what fit at the time. I mean, we understood what you meant, that ultimately the county is responsible for the infrastructure in the hamlets, but we have no interest in doing something that leaves a whole segment of affected individuals and ratepayers outside of the loop with regard to information or how decisions are made. So appreciate your words, Dan, and I think it was a reasonable discussion that we had, but be assured that there will be a lot of communication before things move forward in any direction there. So yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Appreciate you coming in today. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, I think that we're going to move in camera. If someone makes a motion, Lynette, all in favor that we move in camera, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you.
You know, we didn't say Arno, the function of council, Ms. Todd suggested some of us listen on this recycling. Oh, yeah, waste. Bag waste, he felt we should listen to that. He recommended that should be a function of council.
Okay, we can do it after in camera. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Sarita.
Well, that's pretty good. The context quote got some public engagement.
Yeah. Hey, so, yeah, we still said.